So the second step or the second stage of this activity is called making a list. So after the students have drawn all their pictures about their topics, students usually draw about 10 to 15 images related to their topic, because it's 4 students or 3 students drawing at the same time. So I usually give them 3 to 4 minutes so that they can draw as many things as they think of. Okay? So while the students are drawing on the poster, I distribute a smaller piece of paper to 2 people in the group, Secretary 1 and Secretary 2. So I assign roles while they're drawing on the poster. So after they finish drawing and I say time's up, everybody raises their hands, pens down, and what I ask them to do is to pass the poster on to a different group. So everybody passes the poster on to a different group. So group 1 passes their poster to group 2 to group 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and so on. Okay? So when they receive the new poster with a new topic, or with the same topic, if you've done the same topic for everybody in the classroom, they look at the pictures that their partners had drawn, and they start talking to each other a little bit. I always give them maybe 1 minute or 30 seconds for them to talk to each other and discuss the poster, even if it is in Spanish. But it's just a time for them to have a little brain break after drawing the objects on their poster in the previous stage. So I ask them to raise their hand. So I say, Secretary 1, raise your hand, and then they raise their hand. So Secretary 1 has a small piece of paper that was distributed previously. And what do they have to do? With the help of everybody in the group, they have to look at the poster and write the title of the topic. So for example, in this case, celebrations. So they write the title of the topic, and then they have to look at the poster that they have in front of them and make a list of everything they see on the poster. Okay, so for example, if they see Easter eggs, as you can see here in the picture, they have to write Easter eggs, and then also they have to write basket, because they see a basket as well. So it's not just about one thing or about the main idea of the picture. It's also the little details that they have to write on the list. Okay, so for example here, if they see a jack-o'-lantern, so they write jack-o'-lantern, but they also have to write eyes, mouth, pumpkin, etc. So it's everything they see. Why do we do this? Because we want the students to sort of think about as many words as they can use as possible to describe a picture. So there are going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be questions about the specific details about the pictures. So this is a great opportunity for us to give them, or to recycle vocabulary that they did before, but also to give them new vocabulary that they need when they're writing the list. Even if Secretary 1 is writing the list, everyone is helping and everybody is giving them words. What happens at this stage? Students may know some of the words in English, but they may not know other words, so they're going to translate a little bit. So this part is a semi-control activity. They may use some words in their first language, but they have to translate them into English when they write the list. So while the students are writing the list, it's very important for us as teachers to monitor the work. So move around the classroom, helping them with vocabulary, helping them with the words. But also, it's really important for us to write down on the board the incidental language. What is incidental language? Incidental language is all the vocabulary or structures that come up during an activity. Things that students don't know how to say when they're doing an activity. For example, if a student asks you, how do you say Noria in English? And you tell them Ferris wheel. So they're going to write Ferris wheel on the list, but it's also important for us to go to the board and write Ferris wheel, or sort of record that word somewhere on a piece of paper, in their notebooks, somewhere. I use my board, and then I use something else that is called a vocabulary bag. So there's other things that you can do with the incidental language that you write on the board. So what I usually do is, after writing these words on the board, I write them on little pieces of recycled paper. So I have a lot of recycled paper in my classroom, and I write all of that vocabulary on these little pieces of paper. So this is incidental language that students, that came up during the activity and that students needed while doing the activity. So when I have a bunch of them, I put them in a bag, and I have my vocabulary bag. So with all of these words, at a later stage in the activity or on a different day, I would ask my students to do different activities, making sentences, writing questions, playing different games, etc.